beforehand. Never mind.
I should have warned you on that one. Right. In that case, let's get across to our slide deck. So a very good morning to you and welcome to today's RC Coffee Chat. In today's RC Coffee Chat, we've got another very special guest for you. I'm sure you already know him, but it's Stuart Warne from HobbyKing. Now, as many of you already know, Stuart has been one of the key faces over at HobbyKing for quite some time now, 5+ even 6 years. And news broke about a week ago that Stuart is actually leaving HobbyKing shortly. Now, before Stuart leaves HobbyKing, he's joining us for a live chat today, so we can find out how he started with RC, how he ended up working for HobbyKing, some of his adventures along the way, the models which he's helped release, and maybe a model or two here before he goes.
Something.
Okay. And find out what the future holds for Stuart. So just like you, I'm super excited for Stuart to be with us. So Stuart, a very good morning, or actually a very good evening to you, sir.
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, very good evening and morning and good day to everyone else there. I am as excited. This is I've been watching your channel grow, Matt. We haven't discussed this before, but it's quite refreshing to see this kind of channel, and I'm really enjoying it, as I'm sure everyone else is. That's why I think you're getting such rave reviews, because it's good fun, and it's something everyone can join in, and so I really appreciate that. So it's nice to see.
Thank you. So Stuart, we got a couple of questions for you this morning. I need to get across to the right question. So let's start at the beginning. Stuart, how did you start with RC? What was like your first model? How did this journey start for you?
The RC journey started, actually I was just talking at work about this the other day. You may have even seen this around the mid-90s in the UK. There was a Kellogg cereal called Honey Nut Loops, and they had an advert where they had an RC plane doing a loop at the end of this 30-second ad or commercial, and that was the first moment I saw ever seen an RC plane. And then about 3 years later or so, in '97, I managed to convince my mum and stepdad that I should have one, and we went down to a local club. There was a guy there with far more money than sense, which I'm sure most people will, would have experienced a guy like that in one of their clubs. And he crashed this. Yeah, yeah. He crashed this trainer, and he was just going to throw it in the bin. So we asked if we could have it. We rebuilt it, and that was in '97, April '97, in fact. So this April is my 20th anniversary, 20-year anniversary. And yeah, it started there. That was a Hobbyco Superstar 40. Had an OS 40 LA, which was a beautiful, beautiful 2-stroke engine.
Mm-hmm. So it was IC you started with. Oh, yeah.
IC. This was pre-brushless, pre-lipos. That didn't come around really until the turn of the century. Makes it sound Victorian when I say that, turn of the century.
Just a tad.
But yeah, nitro for like 5 years, and then my first electric model was actually a GWS Tiger Moth, a foamy. That foamy really kicked things off. That kicked off the whole Park Flyer session, and it went from there. I ditched IC and moved into electric, just because you could do so much more with electric. I was fed up of building models and then having it caked in crap, all the grime you get from nitro models. Tired of that.
In every single flight.
Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, electric was the way forward for me, and it's been very enjoyable since. Well, it was enjoyable anyway, but so much more so. With electric, I was then able to fly from my parents' field at the back of their house, so that was really cool. And that's the cool thing about electric. It just opened it up to so many more people. And of course, HobbyKing came along and did what they did the good things that they did in terms of making it cheaper and more accessible for people.
Can I just bring up that point just for a moment? Is that my personal entry into RC, I'm very late, but I do have very fond memories with me and my dad, and I know it wasn't a good experience. We'd spend absolute ages building a balsa model, and then it like take weeks to make it, and then take seconds to land it. And now coming like years later into the hobby, and finding like HobbyKing, it has just got so inexpensive to the point that I filled out my man cave and not even broken a sweat. The choice which you have, or we have, for even 50 quid or less, it's crazy. And they're not bad models. They're really good. Like my favorite wings of all time are the Tech Sumos. I've spent so many hours in the sky with those. And what are they, like 30 quid?
Yeah. It was a happy revolution, I think, and it went hand in hand with brushless and lipo, and then the right companies came along at the right time. Sure, they ruffled some feathers. That's what happens in progress, and now everyone's reaping the benefits of that. It's not like it's got tied to one company. More companies have come out of that. Then out of that you got the multi-rotor in its infancy, and now that exploded and then went into a commercial and consumer base. And then even now with wings, that Texuma wing behind you is an old model, but with that and the evolution in FPV technology, those things start to come together, and then you get the next breed of things of interesting, like FPV wings, for example.
Exactly, and that's the curious thing. I was listening to a podcast with Chris Click, and he mentioned that like wings had always been here around in the background, and then quads came onto the scene and just accelerated things so quickly. And I know for me, wings are just going to be huge this year. I that's just what's going to happen, because what I've seen personally with quad pilots have been getting into wings. They're easier to fly. They're less complex. You chuck and you go. And FPV has just come on a million miles, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's a really exciting time, actually. And even in the traditional sense, we're putting FPV stuff with more traditional setups, and it's even rejuvenating that. You guys may have seen we've got a revamp of an older model called the J3 Cub, but it's in a US Navy scheme, and that's got a big full ABS clear cockpit, just like the full side had a nice clear cockpit. And we've put a pan and tilt in there, and we're selling it with the pan and tilt mounting option. And pan and tilt with that is incredible. It's just like the real thing. You got the wing struts, the cabin struts. You can see the dashboard, and it's taken what would have been a relatively ordinary and mundane model and breathed new life into it. I mean, I found that I was getting bored of flying warbirds because eventually they just become the same model. But hey presto, you put FPV in it, and good FPV and more reliable FPV as technology evolves. And it's this whole new experience. It's really, really cool. And that's why with the Avios Spitfire, the big one, because it's bigger, we're able to do it more easily. We've got a pan and tilt system that will be in that. So you'll be able to fly, to all intents and purposes, a real Spitfire. The same with the Cub. We've got the T28 that we've already teased. That's going to have it. And you'll see, from us anyway, you'll see more and more of this. And we really hope it catches on, because it's a really exciting time.
Yeah, that's actually a really curious topic. And Howdy Bruce, by the way, I've seen just appear in the chat. Is that I'm actually doing a talk at one of the model clubs in, what's the date today? In about 2 weeks' time. With obviously it's going to be a slightly older generation, but the route which I'm taking is that it's 3 wires: black, red, and yellow. You know black and red, and yellow is the video signal. And you take your camera and you put that wire across there, and job's a good one. And the point which I'm taking with FPV for them specifically is that it's nothing more complicated than 3 wires, and you actually become the pilot. It's fantastic to see the model from the ground, but this is like a whole new league. Whatever model you've got, whether it be a Spitfire or a glider, you actually become the pilot in the model. And of course you can do crazy stuff like pan and tilt and stuff like that. But this is the next step on. This is your face, your eyes are on the front of the model. So whatever model you've got, you are the pilot of that model. And what an absolutely amazing experience.
Well, what always struck me is that I think a lot of people get into RC just because they can't afford full size. Until they have a HobbyKing company that comes along and does what HobbyKing did to the RC industry to GA, then The next best thing. You can't own a Spitfire. No one can ever really own or fly a Spitfire. But hey presto, this is the closest thing you can get to it. More so than just owning a nice model of it and seeing it fly from a third person's perspective. Put yourself in the cockpit, experience it, and then get a few of your friends up and try some formation flying, and then get some Messerschmitts up as well and try a bit of, dogfighting. Or even just with wings and just flying along and racing them and formating and just exploring. There's a whole sky there to be explored. We've only seen and experienced our models from the ground, so this is really, really a lot of fun. Very excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other option which you missed there was try and knock each other out of the sky, which you should never do. But it's really good fun.
I can't possibly condone that, but I can say it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay, so Stuart, I'm guessing you probably found this YouTube channel from my excitement around the EF Extra. It was a model which I'd personally seen on the flight line from other pilots, and I was never at a stage where I'd feel comfortable in piloting a model like that. And then the time when I did feel that I would be capable of flying a model like that, you couldn't get them. Honestly, they were like rocking horse poop. You just couldn't get them anywhere. And then the ones which did come up were either miles away or stupidly expensive. I know Andrew, one of the guys which I fly with, he's still got one in a kit which he's not flown, which I've slapped him many a time for. And then you came out with the clipped wing version, which she is there, and I can tell you, it's mental.
I got one behind me. I've actually got the prototype behind me. One of the prototypes.
Oh, is that one? Is that the one which is in one piece, or is that the one with the optional accessories of wings and things like that?
Yeah, this is the one part model, not the 10-part model. This is actually an early color sample. This is one of the first slope ones as well. So 3D printed the nose before we just to test the theory, and now of course it's vacuum formed in production. So that's just my neighbor. And as you can see, the color scheme is slightly different on this. This is a scheme that was rejected, because what we do, we get color samples once it's molded, and then we see how our artwork files look in reality on the model. This one was rejected. There were some changes made to some of the stickers, and then at that point it became the slope.
Never knows. All right, so we got black tips now on the end.
Yeah. So you see it's now got an outline around the graphene. That wasn't there before. You can see that I've done it in ink around the logo.
Right, I got you. Yeah.
Small little changes like that that really come at the artwork stage. Other than that, it's pretty much an EFX, I think. Oh, this is the one that I think got changed to 69. What's your town number?
69. That was the other reason why I really liked it. You put 69 on it.
Yeah.
After the motorcyclist, of course.
Yes. Nothing. It couldn't possibly reference anything else. So they're the artwork changes. So that's the final stage at which you're able to really make a difference.
Yeah, and I know with the original EFX is that you could only fit a tiny little battery in there, and I've stuffed a 2200 4S graphene pack in that one. Just fits in there as well. It's to the point I've had to put Velcro on the side, and that's how I actually hold the battery in there.
Right.
It's mental, absolutely.
I think that's what I really liked, because you could see that you were genuinely enthusiastic for it, and I really warm to people that have a genuine expression of a product, good or bad, because you're getting the real deal. But it was a fun model to bring to market initially as the EFX, but I wasn't able to do all that I wanted with it at that time. And then based on my own desires, but more than that, on the feedback we got from the community, because I've always tried to listen to the customers in the community as much as possible, because obviously they're pivotal in this relationship. And got a lot of good feedback. We knew that the space inside needed to be bigger, and people were looking for slightly hotter setups. We know people are going crazy with 6S as well. That's an option with this if you want to do a little bit of work. But that said, the motor that's in it is ready to go for 6S. So we didn't want to go full out 6S out of the box, because 2 minutes flight time wouldn't really cut it for the majority of the customer base. But it's there if you want to do it. And then
you would need to change the ESC to an 80 amp ESC,
Yeah.
and downsize the prop as well.
Exactly, yeah. But the motor as it is good to go. And then the clipped wing, actually, I can't even take credit for that. I was at Joe Knoll a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now. And one of our customers had the EFX and he did it. And I was like, that's really cool. Do you mind if I just take that as it is? And he said, yeah, sure, that's fine. And I've always mentioned, I'm unfortunately forgetting his name now, but he inspired me to do that. And what I found is that it didn't actually affect the glide rate at all, but it increased the roll rate. And it looks cool. I'm all for stuff looking cool, and it does look cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let's change the topic slightly into models which you've helped get over the line and models which you've helped release. The obvious one is the Tundra, but what? And oh yes, yesterday we spoke about the Walrus as well, a project which had been almost abandoned by the rest of the team. Can you tell us the story behind that and some of the models which you've helped release at HobbyKing?
Yeah, absolutely. The Walrus was something that came along, and I asked, at the time there wasn't much interest in it, and I'd only been employed as a head of video at that point for HobbyKing. That's how I came to HobbyKing in that role. But I came as an RC fanatic anyway, and I was itching to get my hands on a project and do something with it. And Ben, the head of products, Ben Everington, really, really nice guy, Australian guy, he said, sure, go with it, run with it. And I did. There wasn't a great deal that needed doing to it, but it was just naturally a very good model, and it's a very good price. It flies exceptionally well. And that was the first model that I brought to market. That's actually the first product video that I ever was featured in as well. And that was.
And what about models since then as well?
Sometime after that, Anthony, once a previous member of staff had left the company, had asked me to take over Durafly. Really unexpected, but I was obviously thrilled. So I took that on. Before that, there'd been other really good models. The Vampire, Vampire was nothing to do with me. I was responsible for the limited edition version, but that's just a color scheme. The actual model was developed before my time, but that's a classic, if what somewhat dated jet now.
Well, actually, you've got a Slate version behind you, haven't you? We quickly spoke about that
exactly.
when we came on.
Yeah, it's very, very versatile. And that was back in the day where things were super simple and cheap and light, and because of its lightness, it actually slopes really, really well. Really, and it's obviously got a big wing, which really helps. And then there was a few projects that I inherited at mold stage. So I didn't brief our factories. I wasn't involved in the 3D design stage like I was with all later projects. They were already molded. So the machining molds that like press and make these foam components had already been opened, and that's a significant stage in model production. So I inherited, in that sense, the original Sky Mule, the BF-109, and the Sea Fury, and the Spitfire, the Mark 24 Spitfire. The Mark 24 Spitfire was almost pretty much done. The only thing I really did on that was update the color scheme, just to improve the camo pattern. And then later we gave it a 5-blade propeller. So for my own real projects that were completely based on my brief and my concepts to our factory, it's probably started with, I don't know, let's try to think. Hang on, I have to look. Maybe the P40. Let's have a look. You can't see my screen, can you? Because I'll be revealing all my secrets. Yeah, I think maybe the P40 was one of them, and then just anything basically from 2014 onwards was something that I was involved in from the very beginning. And there's too many to name, but off the top of your head, so like Tundra, EFX, EFXtra, the Excalibur, the Spitfires, the Mark 1 Spitfire, the Mark 5 Spitfire, the BF-109 that's coming out. Yeah, everything from I think mid 2014 onwards.
Yeah, you know, with the Excalibur, I've nicknamed it Toothless because I have How to Train Your Dragon, and it just makes this noise. You just take it up, turn it around, give it Dave's model, not mine, and he'll take it up, turn it around, give it a little bit of welly to bring it, like, increase the drop rate on it, and then take the power off. The propellers fold up, and he just goes.
Yeah, it's nice. That's a really fun model, actually. I enjoy that one a lot. Yeah, so sorry, it's the end of the day here, so I'm a bit fried. Yeah, they're the models that I really got into. And then Avios as well. After the Sea Fury, which was initially actually going to be Durafly, but I didn't feel it fit into Durafly at that time. So another guy was in charge of Avios at that time, and he took over it. But now everything from the Zazie onwards, although the Zazie was a project I inherited, but certainly the Bushmule and the new Big Spitfire, they are my first and final Avios models, in fact, apart from one more, which I will announce next week. But that one I can't tell you about. Absolutely can't tell you about just yet.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Now, obviously, Tundra, they're coming out with new foam wheel, not foam wheels, spongy wheels, and they got a color update as well. That's pretty much what you can do for the Tundra, isn't it?
Yeah, at this size, that's pretty much all you can do. I mean, obviously, there's always tweaks. I mean, I said to you the other day, I've never been 100% satisfied with any of the products that I put to market because they can always be improved.
Curious on that conversation because you really do hate waggle in models, don't you? I picked up from our conversation yesterday. It was like this hate.
Hate's a strong word, but I'd be upset to see an excessive amount of it in a wing. So that leads on to another thing that we're coming to later. But yeah, they can always be better. I think that's why you'll probably see quite a few V2s as well coming this year and next year from HobbyKing, just because the time is right to do V2s on a lot of previous releases.
Okay, so I've got a couple of other comments. A couple of other questions for you. I'm going to leave that one for in a minute. So, Stuart, I know that you're a huge fan of Warbirds, but what's your favorite model of all time? Imagine that you're stuck on a desert island and you've only got that one model which you can fly. Obviously, unlimited fuel, unlimited batteries. What would be the one model which you would have to have on that desert island, and then you can sit there in your deck chair or upright because you're caning the nuts off it? What would be the one model which you would put up with? Or I would love to.
Are you on about models that from HobbyKing or just models in general?
Any model. Don't restrict yourself to just HobbyKing. Literally, you are on that desert island. You've got that one model, obviously unlimited spares as well. What would be the model for you?
There's going to be several because no one model can satisfy every single taste and desire.
Imagine there's a slope there as well.
Yeah, all right. Actually, one that I've always liked, and it goes back to my old days. There's a company in the UK called Flair, and they make these sports scale World War I kits. And I had a Flair Puppeteer, which is like a Flair Sopwith pup. It's like a sports scale. And I'd have it on their floats, and I'd have it with a OS 48 Surpass. Not that I'd ever consider flying anything powered by that these days. I would build another kit though and make it electric. But that would be just a sweetheart, just puttering around, purring, and yeah, it takes me back to a memory I had when I was much younger and I flew a 4-stroke Puppeteer, and that was beautiful. But in more modern terms, it will have to be a Tundra or a version of the Tundra, because it's a bush plane, right? Well, what can't you do with a Tundra on a desert island? You got the floats, you got the skis, and you got the undercarriage, the big boonie wheels. And you got the store capability. The only other thing I'd have in there is something fast, like I guess like a Excalibur or a EFX with FPV or FPV wing. FPV wing would be cool. That would be cool. But then there's so many, because if it's a big enough desert island, I'd love to get like a big 2.4-meter warbird on there with a big Moki radial gas engine. That would be amazing. How big's your island?
Exactly. Not big enough to put you in the model and then fly back home again for it. So, okay, Stuart, you mentioned that there are some new models coming out this year. You mentioned there's one which you can't mention because it's coming out very, very shortly.
Yeah.
But was there a specific model which you'd like to just give us a teaser on, perhaps?
There is. Let's warm up to it, shall we?
Yeah, let's do this.
There is actually a lot of models that we're announcing, or we have been announcing, and will be announcing over the next couple of weeks and for this first quarter, simply because these are my final projects for the company, and we wanted to put them out there and just reassure people and let it be known that their heritage and where they're coming from. And the great thing is, even though I leave HobbyKing in 2 weeks, well, less than 2 weeks, everyone will still be able to enjoy the fruits of my labors right up until the end of the summer or the beginning of autumn sometime, because a lot of these models that we're announcing are about to go into mass production or are in mass production. And also Chinese New Year has given a convenient delay to some of that in some respects as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you'll be able to really enjoy the models that we've already announced and the ones we'll announce in the next week or so, right up until the end of the year. But then after that, they've got a very good guy by the name of Steve in the Sydney office. He's taking over as brand manager. He's just brand manager. That's I do video. I'm head of video. I'm also brand manager. It basically means you develop the products under those brands. He will be developing models that you'll then see next year. And he'll be shepherding my final projects throughout the rest of this year. Even though they're already in production stage. But anyway, the long and short of it, yes, there is something that I wanted to reveal physically and have it here and show you, but the postman didn't arrive. Mm-hmm. So all I can show you is some pictures.
Before we go there, I just want to apologise. It's absolutely belting it down with rain here, so if you can hear some raindrops and some noise in the background, I do apologise. We've got one of the hurricanes which have gone past, and it's going to be rather windy here today, so definitely not a flying day. The other one, that must be kind of like a bit of a panic for you, because you know that you are leaving HobbyKing and you're going to have projects which would have come out in a more like structured manner, if that makes sense. There must be some sense of urgency to get those specific models ready.
There is
in the open.
Like I said, I call them my legacy projects. So I just want to get them out there publicly, and then I can drop the microphone on stage, I guess. Well, I hope. We'll see. Yeah, there is a little bit of that, but it also, I think, because a lot of people trust in the brand now and trust in the work that's been done, then that, in some ways, I think the idea is here that it reassures them as well. So yes, I might be moving on, but you've got good models to enjoy even after that. And then stepping into my place is that guy Steve, who's extraordinarily passionate. He's a better pilot than me, has a better understanding of aerodynamics than me. You just won't see him on camera as much because he's a bit camera shy. But he'll be on the forums giving the brand all the support it's always got. And I'll still be there. I'm not dying. I'm not going to stop doing RC. I'll still absolutely be involved one way or the other.
We'll have a chat. Anyway, what the future holds for you in a few moments' time.
Yeah, let's do the teasing. So, Matt, you know that I've been chatting to you about wings, and we've talked about how cool wings are and how everyone in his dog's going to have a wing at some point this year if they haven't done already. Yeah, it makes sense, right? So I wanted a wing that was out the box, ready to go, very much along the mantra of Durafly. And essentially what we've got, I'm going to share my screen in a minute. If you imagine...
Can you just clarify the mantra of Durafly? What does that mean to you? And what should that mean to us as consumers or modelers?
Sorry, say that again. You broke up. Mention what about Durafly?
the mantra of Durafly, what does that mean to you, and what does that mean to us as modelers? What do you feel that Durafly means to us?
It's about ease of assembly out of box. It's about value, and it's about quality in it. But more than anything, it's about passion. It's created with real passion for people that are passionate about either the subject matter or the fixed wing genre in general. Because there's a lot of love in the hobby, and we put a lot of love into the projects. And I think what people get, and maybe you see that with the Tundra, because people, they have an affinity with it. They get it. That's because it's all made with the same drive that drives them to go out and buy one and enjoy it. Because at the end of the day, we're all modelers. So it's just becomes this nice mixing pot of enthusiasm and passion and product. So yeah, above everything else, it's passion. That's what you get in a box. You get something that's really developed with real care and love, and somebody that really gives a damn about it. Okay, it's not always perfect out of the box. That happens in life, and that's where we come in. We try and be as good as we can with CS for the brands, Durafly and Abios. And again, that's where Steve will take over with that as well. But yeah, if I had to name one word, I'd say passion in a box, which sounds a bit weird, but that's what it is.
All right.
Yeah. So, okay, was there a bit of lag now on the video?
There probably is a little bit of lag, to be honest. I'm sure it will catch up and again in a few moments. And obviously, if you're watching this live, so we are in two very different continents. I'm based here in the United Kingdom of wetness, and Stuart, you're down in Sydney, Australia, aren't you?
Sydney, yeah. Soon to be back in Europe, sometime very, very soon. So these will become a lot easier at that point.
So Sydney of summerness, because it's not summer here yet.
They say the weather in Sydney is glorious. It's actually more changeable than the UK. So don't believe it. It's like 20 degree difference in the summertime. It's crazy. Yeah. All right. Shall I go ahead and share the screen then, Matt?
Oh, please.
Okay. So this is. I'm not going to give you too many details. I'm just going to move the screen around so you can see it. I won't even give you the name because we're hopefully going to reveal this in the next couple of days. It's an FPV race wing. And there it is. Just give you some little bit of a sexy tease there. Now this is the 3D model. This has been through many reiterations. You may be wondering why you see two antennas there. It's because one's a dummy one. We've supplied a dummy one to basically neutralize any adverse yaw you would get from one aerial sticking up. You don't have to use it, or you can modify it as you see fit. Have your clover leaf or your spironet antenna lower down to the wing if you wish. And it's very, very sexy. If you imagine the EFX as a FPV wing, or the EF Extra, this is what you get. And here...
And sorry, I've just talked over the top of it. A couple of points for you to look at on there, to those of you who have just seen it for the first time, is number one, the thickness of the cord. It's not very thick, and I don't know how thick it's going to be, but when you look closely, it's not particularly thick. And also look where the servos are mounted and where the ailerons are, the elevons are out on the wingtips as well. That's going to be rather responsive.
Yeah, it's pretty rock solid, but yeah, it can be thrilling if you want it to be. But it's super stable, and I'm gonna stop sharing now. That's your lot. Hang on a second. At slow speeds, it's incredible, especially when I'm coming into land. I basically just pull full up elevator and I ride it in all the way on up elevator, and it just settles down nicely. It's
nice. Bruce just brought up a point in there: embed the antenna in the wing, or use a pagoda so that you have zero drag. I'm sure we'll have.
There's actually challenging like channeling that will give you more of an option for that as well. Again, if I had the full model here, I'd be able to show you guys, and if we had actually officially announced it, which we haven't done yet. So I may be in some trouble in the morning, but what are they going to do? Fire me?
That's the spirit. But remember, we need to leave on a positive note.
Yes,
HobbyKing, of course.
But it's fine. It's all good. we're actually all very good friends at the office there, and we'll come on to that later. So that's the little tease for now. It's my entry into the FPV wing marathon that will be 2017. It's not like the kit build ones, like the stuff we've been talking about, Matt, like the right wing stuff. It's much more towards that out of the box, go fly mentality that Durafly and a lot of plug and fly brands cater for. But it's quick, it's stable, and it's a lot of fun to fly.
Which is the last piece which I quite like. And we also spoke about pricing, and it's not going to be like scary pricing at all, is it? It's going to be
no. I expect it to be similar pricing, give or take, for the EF Extra.
Yeah, which was the reference point which I think I used for that as well. Okay, let's move on to HobbyKing and yourself. Actually, I was surprised that you've actually been with HobbyKing for 6 or more years now.
Yeah, I think 6 years.
A journey.
Yeah.
In short, and you've probably flown more models than most people would do in a flight, in a lifetime. That must have been one epic experience for you as a pilot and personally. Yeah,
I mean, I was an average pilot when I joined, and I think I'm probably still an average pilot now. But I've gone through a lot of models, or I put a lot of models through things. But it's a great learning.
Not through things in some instances, like maybe that EFX.
Yeah. That's
really nice to see that you included that, by the way.
Yeah, I'm happy to keep mentioning that all the time. That's the other thing. Don't take yourself seriously.
Sorry.
Everyone crashes. The biggest pro pilots in the world crash. Just admit the fact, and everyone will be that much more responsive to it.
We call them.
I just see Tom's come in the chat. Hi, Tom. Sorry, what was that?
Good morning, Tom. By the way, yeah, you just spotted him in the chat as well. By the way, Tom, we did a separate interview with. Such a good guy. Yes, very. Coming back onto the topic of the C word, we call them unscheduled landings, which was my personal take on that. Normally what happens is that you announce that you're landing and then you make the maneuvers and land your model. But if you've already landed by using the C word, is that it's too late. So we announce them as landed because that's actually what's happened rather than using the negative word.
It's on the ground. It's on the ground in some way, shape, or form.
Yes, indeed. So, sorry, you were saying you have been through an awful lot of models and also, of course, prototypes, which we've never seen as well.
Yeah.
Probably. Go on.
No, go on, please.
I was going to say, has there been like a prototype which you've flown? You don't have to mention what that was, but you've flown it and gone, what a POS. Yeah. Just fold it in half and stick it in the bin and go. Just don't even bother,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There has been. The great thing about living in Hong Kong is that I got to fly with all the other guys there, and that's one thing I really missed about that office is that you could work with the other product developers, and you'd fly their projects, and they'd fly yours, so you get a good rounded opinion on models before you brought them to market. But what that meant also, they were the first guys to receive samples just from random factories and these random designs, and some of them had so much good intention but just failed miserably. And you're right, I'm not going to call anybody out because that's not fair. Someone's obviously put a lot of work into it, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And there's been some scary experiences, really, really scary experiences. But yeah, it makes you, I'm not sure if it makes you a better pilot. It probably makes you a braver or more stupid pilot when you try the amount of things that you have to come by your desk. But that's been a real experience, absolutely. And because of that, I now bush engineer with the best of them. When you're in the middle of a field or a disused road in China or up a mountain in Hong Kong, because it's the only open space to fly, you learn to use what you can carry in your transmitter box, which for the most part is glass tape, a cigarette lighter, and a glue stick, and maybe a knife. And it works wonders.
Yeah, limited model survival kits.
Yeah, basically.
No food, just glue, a lighter,
Yeah,
And
and when I came to Sydney office, there was quite a lot of shock. It was like, wow, you're going to test a model like that? And I said, well, it's I know it's safe. It may look crass, but it works. And the thing is, a lot of the time when you're testing, you just need to prove a point. You need to test something, tick that box, and then move on to the next thing. So it means you might have to strap it up with some tape. It's not going to look pretty, but it's going to work for that point in time, and that's all you really need.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Does it fly, and is it worth
Yeah,
continuing?
and you'll be surprised what flies. I'm constantly surprised at what flies. That said, I'm mindful that I don't want to become a sloppy modeler, so I'm looking forward to not having to rush so much and not be under so much pressure once I get back to Europe and get back to some traditional building methods.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I think that's actually probably a good time for us to move to the close now. And I'm sure, like myself and many others, you have been the face of HobbyKing for quite a long period of time. And we know why you're leaving HobbyKing, which is to go and spend some time, quality time with your family. And I'd also like to say a massive thank you to Stuart, to you, because you actually left work an hour early. We know, I know your son's has got fever at the moment, and you've rushed to get this live chat in. So I want to say a massive thank you on behalf of everybody who is here live with us, and of course those which will go on and watch the recorded version. So I want to say thank you for that. But it must be a big challenge for you personally, being pushed and pulled, all for intents and purposes, all the way around the world. And let's be fair here, wherever home is for like me or you, home is home, you know. So you must be looking forward to going home, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and looking forward to fully settling. I mean, we've been in Hong Kong for 4 years, and then for 4 or 5 years, and then we shipped over here. Moving around the world with your family is a big thing, and it takes its toll. And you know, reasons here, basically, I mean, I don't mind saying the actual visa that I got didn't entitle me to for going to work.
Sorry, Stuart.
So I had to.
Sorry, we just broke up there for a second. You'd mentioned the visa, which
I was just saying that the very real reason is family, and the reason that it's not sustainable here is because the visa, the only visa I'm entitled to as a non-Australian citizen, unless I become a citizen, which I'm not going to do, doesn't entitle me to all the full benefits that would have made life much more affordable here. It's beautiful here, really, really love it. Great people, but it's very expensive. So that, and family considerations, it made a really hard decision that much easier. And life will go on. I'll still stay in RC. It just can't carry on here. And it seemed like a nice point to move on from HobbyKing and call it a day there. Sadly, with a lot of regret. It's really a fantastic experience, and there are some very good people in the company that I've enjoyed working with. Yeah,
it must have been a fantastic experience, only one which I can try and envisage. Like we spoke about, the breadth of the models, the challenges which you've had along the way, the stuff which we don't see in the final products is that we're seeing a polished version of a model. It probably doesn't go to explain the crap you've had to go through to get to something which you be proud to show other people what's going on like you mentioned with the Durafry blend, what that means, the passion in a box, which I'm sure it didn't end up, it had a P at the beginning of it, and it may have been in a box, but it might have ended with OS originally to get something at the end. Crazy stuff. So you're going to take some time to chill out, go and fly?
We're actually, first of all, we're going to go up to the Gold Coast. We're going to take a holiday up to the Gold Coast for a bit, and then head on a plane back to Finland initially, which is where my wife is from, and then just back to the UK, and see what happens there.
Yeah, Absolutely, absolutely. So before we go, there is one question which actually came up from Kev in the chat right back at the beginning, is that now it's public knowledge that you're leaving HobbyKing. Is there like a model which you would really, really like to go and get? Is there like a competitor's model, in inverted commas, from another provider or manufacturer, which you're really looking forward to getting your hands on? To maybe you've owned something else which you haven't been able to like publicly show, or is there like a model which you've already been and bought? What are you looking forward to outside of HobbyKing?
There's nothing I've seen, in all honesty, from like any like close competitors to HobbyKing that I really want to rush out and buy. Because of what I've got a massive pile of, I don't know, 200 kits that I've collected over the past 20 years at home. So that's what I'm going to absolutely get started on.
So you already have a backlog to work your way through.
Oh, yeah.
Good man.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah. So, but in more modern terms, what I want to get, we were talking about wings. I do want to try maybe one of the sweep wings, maybe the flinch, or one of the right wing models, the mini drac. You know, I've seen you ragging the nuts off, as they say, with that one.
I might have licked her more than once.
Yeah. So I definitely want to try my hand at the hardcore side of race wings. And I want to build one. I really want to build one. And then far removed from anything, HobbyKing has put out, there's a German company called Airworld. They do a really nice full composite Yak 11, which is a Russian late war, Cold War era trainer. That's 2.4 meter, and I want to put a big Moki radial in that, the one that I'd have on the beach, in fact, in that desert island. So yes, that's one of the other ones, but that's more of an ultimate dream, that one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, Stu, I think it's time which we wrap up. In short, I'm just going to ask the daft question: have we missed any topics which you'd like to cover? No,
not really. I mean, now that I've got a public pedestal, I really just want to reiterate again just how lucky I've been to work for HobbyKing. You can count on your hands the amount of people that do the job that I do in the world. So it's really cool, really cool, and it's going to be missed. It's given me a flavor for it for sure, but it's going to be missed. I'm going to miss the people that I've worked with. I would say that I'm going to miss the customers and the people in the community, but I'm still going to be in the community, so they'll still see me and I'll still see them. And in fact, I'm looking forward to being back in Europe and having more time to directly meet these people and go down to some clubs and just be a regular RC guy, at least for a little while. But yeah, it's been a real fun roller coaster.
Yep. Stuart, before we go, there was a question which came up in the chat, and I've got to ask it because I laughed my boobies off when I saw it in the Facebook group, which was, who was actually responsible for the propeller direction in the manual of the EF Extra? Because in the original one, in the original EFX model, in the manual, if the propeller was spinning the wrong direction, you had to turn it around. And Bruce brought you up on that one. And in the latest EFX Extra manual, it says if the propeller is traveling in the wrong direction, it says Ask Bruce. Was that you?
Oh, does it? I didn't know.
No.
Yeah. I as brand manager, I write all the manuals, and as being dyslexic, that also means I miss stuff as well. And
okay.
I missed that. And there's still loads of spelling mistakes in the manuals. Spelling is not my strong point. But yes, it was a mistake in the manual. But really, it was just a comment on. It seemed to be that was the only thing he could really bring up as a fault of the EFX. So if the only problem with a model is a mistake in the manual, I think you're doing all right. So yes, that was a little cheeky nod to Bruce that I put at the end there.
Brilliant, and thank you. I'm sorry, I think it was Flying Amiibo which brought that up in the chat. Thank you for bringing that one up. I completely forgot that one, and it was hilarious. Yeah.
I really love putting little Easter eggs in these things. It gives, as someone's put there, a human touch, and it just reminds everybody that we're all just human and people after all. So let's just have a bit of fun occasionally. Stop being so serious. It's like some of these models in the Tundra. I've got molded into the back of the Tundra. I've got my wife's name. In the Spitfire, I've got my son's name molded into the back of that. And new models that I've got coming out this year, it's become a thing now. I put my family members' names or references to my family or people that are very special to me on the models. Like the ME163 that I brought out a year or so ago, the TAL number on it is actually my mum's birthday. And little things like this. So you'll look out for that. And actually, an interesting fact for the Spitfire, my son's name is Silas, but his middle name is Spitfire. So I wanted to put his name in the
Someone's
Spitfire.
not an RC nut at all. At all to give their son their middle name Spitfire.
The best thing is, it was my wife's idea. She came up with it.
Oh, well done,
wanted...
good girl. I didn't realize that you'd actually imprinted the names in the back of the models. That is that's a personal touch and a half, isn't it?
It is. That, and I tend to bleed a lot when I bring these models to market, so you'll probably find a bit of blood in some of them as well. You always end up cutting yourself or running a screwdriver through your hand or something like that.
Brilliant. Stuart, I would like to say a massive thank you for joining us. It's the evening time there with you. I know that you've rushed to be able to join us for this live session. And for everybody who has been on the live chat in the background, there are just too many names to say thank you. If you've joined us live for today's RC Coffee Chat, thank you very much. I've tried to keep an eye on what's going on in the chat. I've picked out a couple of questions in there. But really, thank you, Stuart, from all of us, everybody who's been here, and of course, everybody who's going to go on and watch this episode as well. We would all like to wish you the best for the future, whatever that holds.
Yeah, we'll see. It's there was an old saying from a phone company in the UK: "The future's bright," and then it went on to say the future's orange, but it's not going to be orange. Yes, see what the future holds. It's going to be exciting times.
It could be white.
And actually, exactly. Overexposed with foam. I'm looking forward to having more time to get to watch as a consumer these kind of social channels. So that's gonna be cool. I'm looking forward to see what you do as the year goes on, Matt.
Yeah, it's going to be a curious one, to say the least. I've got a couple of ideas kicking around, and we won't go into that one right now. But ultimately, thank you, Stuart, for joining us. I have personally really, really enjoyed this. If you have too, thank you. Do us a favor, hit the thumbs up button, the like button underneath this video. If you have any questions or comments, remember there is a comment section underneath this video. And if this is your first time here for an RC Coffee Chat, we run an RC Coffee Chat live every morning. Sometimes we have really cool people like Stuart joining us. And sometimes it's just me, which maybe class is cool or not cool, depending on what we're talking about. So with that said, thank you ever so much for joining us. If you've not already subscribed, there is a red button underneath this video. Press the red button, subscribe, have a look at some of the other stuff which we've published. And there are some other really cool interviews with just as cool people as Stuart as well. So time for us to go. And I'm going to say it again, Stuart, thank you. I have really, really enjoyed today's chat. Thank you, sir.
It's been a thrill. Thank you very much for having me.
Indeed. So Stuart, time for us to go. Really appreciate it. And of course, everybody who's been enjoying us today, thank you too. So on that note, cheerios.